Ruslan.
Some of you guys know that I put out a tweet a couple days ago because Candace Owens is in my city tomorrow, probably today by the time you guys are watching this, and she's speaking at a local church that's about 5 minutes from my house. Not my church, a local church. I have no ill intent towards Candace Owens. I did not know she was a follower of Jesus. I reached out through Twitter. I reached out through a mutual acquaintance named Zuby. I reached out to Brandon Tatum, who I know, about potentially connecting with Candace Owens. He hasn't gotten back to me. Now that she's professing to be a Christian, she's speaking at churches, doing a church tour. I'm really curious about her worldview in terms of her following Jesus and how does she reconcile some of the things she said in regards to following Jesus. Less about the political side of things, okay? You can believe what you want about the political side of things, but I wanted to give you guys some good nuts and bolts of what I see commonly the mistake from the Candace Owens and from some of the people that we see in media regarding how we get so divided. And you could apply this to denominations in church. You could apply this to the political aisle. You could literally apply this point to anything, okay? To anything you want to apply it to. I think it's important for us just to get a framework of what happens and why we can just get so nasty with people that we disagree with. And I'm going to give you guys a verse. You know, I love the Bible. Ecclesiastes 7. Verse 16, do not be over righteous, neither be over wise. Why destroy yourself? First of all, I think this is saying don't be self-righteous. Don't be wise in your own eyes. Don't always think that you're the wisest, that you're always the most righteous person. Don't think you're always the smartest person in the room. Why destroy yourself? That's interesting that there's a connection there. Do not be over wicked and do not be a fool. Why die before your time? It is good to grasp the one and not let go of the other. Whoever fears God will avoid all extremes. Whoever fears God will avoid all extremes. I think the reason we have so much division today, regardless on if it's politics, regardless on if it's infighting within Christianity, regardless on what it is. I think the reason why is because we take the most extreme fringe voice from one side of an issue, and we now take that voice and we say, well, those people all believe that. We take the most wild thing over there and then we say, oh, well, now all people who lean that way believe that. And I can give you countless examples. I give you example after example after example. It is the epitome of why we get so divisive, why we get so nasty, because what happens is the most extreme, bizarre, loony voices are the ones that get platformed. When we're speaking about social issues, I'll give you guys an example. And I really don't want to go down this rabbit hole in the comment section, so please don't do it. When it comes to something like the issue of CRT, right? And you're seeing all this talk of critical race theory, and then you're seeing people saying, hey, that's not critical race theory, that's something else. And then people say, well, what about Robin DiAngelo, who wrote White Fragility? Okay, of course, someone like Robin DiAngelo is going to be platformed. She's going to have a big voice, and that is the voice we're going to get. So whether it's Robin DiAngelo, whether it's folks saying goofy statements like meritocracy is white supremacy, hard work is white supremacy, nuclear family is white supremacy. The average person that's desiring more opportunities, more equality, more accountability for law enforcement, whatever it is, the person that's, you know, on the social justice side of things, and I don't mean social justice with Vadi's definition of equal outcome. I mean social justice as in fairness, as in accountability when people misbehave. When people look on the extreme, they go to the freaking Robin DiAngelos who make goofy statements like meritocracy is white supremacy, who make goofy statements. I'm not saying Robin DiAngelo said all this. I'm just saying the pushback that you're seeing with something like a CRT is the fringe statements like meritocracy, hard work, nuclear family is white supremacy. It's hogwash. That's nonsense. Most people could look at this and be like, no, No, this is stupid. No one thinks that the nuclear family is an exclusively white Western concept. Have you been to Africa? You've been to Asia? Most people are about nuclear families. Most cultures are about nuclear families. And so what happens is you get these loony voices, these fringe loony voices, and then those voices get amplified. And then folks from the other side will grab these voices that don't really categorize, and then they'll use that as the attack all across the board. And it just gets super goofy. And the vast majority of people aren't even talking about this. Like the vast majority of people don't care about that. Like that's dumb. Like meritocracy is white supremacy. Nuclear family is white supremacy. Like you gotta be a complete lunatic if you believe that. And most people don't believe that. When we're talking about this passage, it is good to grasp the one and not let go of the other. Whoever fears God will avoid all extremes. Don't use the extreme, goofy, fringe voices to then dismiss and categorize an entire group of people and say, see, all of them are like this. And I fell in for this. I fell in for this. The enemy has used this. I'll give you an example. My Seventh-day Adventist brothers and sisters, you guys take the Sabbath very seriously. Respect. The vast majority of my pastoral friends that I have that are pastors, clergies, serving in that community, in that denomination, got nothing but love and respect for me. They rock with me. They don't have any issues with me Sabbathing on a different day. But some of you goofies will be in my comment section and tell me I took the mark of the beast because I worship on a Sunday and make it a salvation issue. The vast majority of folks in that camp don't believe that. But then we take the extreme fringe voices and then we dismiss everybody in the community and say, well, see, that's what they all believe. They just all believe that if you don't celebrate the Sabbath like they celebrate the Sabbath, then goodness gracious, you've taken on the mark of the beast. Stop using the most radicalized voices to dismiss everybody in a specific camp. This is also true for folks who on the left who don't like the MAGA people. You take one person all the way on the fringe end of the spectrum, you take the Candace Owens, and you think anybody who's ever voted for Trump or ever voted Republican is on that energy. And the truth is they're not. The truth is the wide spectrum of folks who vote that way aren't all white supremacists who hate people of color. That's also false, right? So this happens, and this is why we're divided. And this is an easy thing you could do is say, hey, when someone is positioning an argument for you, is it a true representation of that position? Or are we talking semantics? Or are we talking about something completely different? Because when you take the most radical, over-the-top, hyperbolic, let me get clicks and go viral on Instagram or on Twitter, that's what's going to happen. And it happens to Christians, by the way. When I hear folks who are decolonizing their faith, deconstructing their faith, what they're really mad at is fundamentalism. When they hear me, when they hear Tim Mackey, when they hear Mike Winger, when they hear an Alan Parr, when they hear John McCrae, they're not mad at us. They're mad at the fundamentalist who's like wilding out of their mind with some of their theology because they see every issue under the sun as binary. And because they see every issue under the sun as binary, they then want to legislate everything in the Bible and create this Christian theocracy type of situation, right? So you're taking the fundamentalists and then you're projecting this. And when you hear that, you're like, yo, the vast majority of Christians don't even approach the scriptures this way. This is evident with John Piper's son and the type of content he makes, right? He makes content not based on a true representation of what the average Christian follower of Jesus believes, whether that's in America, whether that's in Ethiopia, whether that's in India, whether that's in China, whether that's in Armenia. He's taking a caricature of a fundamentalist and then making that as a broad spectrum of everybody who believes these loony wonky theologies. Hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully this is encouraging to you guys. Again, sit with this passage. Like really sit with this passage. It is good to grasp the one, not let go of the other. Whoever fears God will avoid all extremes. Whoever fears God will avoid all extremes. Have you been radicalized in your politics? Have you been radicalized in your social views? Have you been radicalized in your political views? Have you been radicalized in some of your theology? And your camp is the only camp. I don't agree with you on every single thing about your camp or your denomination. I'm not really saved, or I'm really a JV Christian. Have you gone to the extreme, or do you look at the extreme of a specific movement or camp and think that everybody who's loosely affiliated with that is represented, is reflecting those values, right? And again, I tell you, whatever it is, if you're looking at the spectrum of things, so if you want to be challenged by this, here's something practical. If you're wrestling with politics, if you're wrestling with, go sit down and listen to some long form debates on these issues. Really sit down and listen to an hour plus of a specific conversation being unpacked. Okay, give you some resources. If you're struggling with Calvinism, free will, hey, go sit down and listen to Dr. Flowers debate James White, or listen to Dr. Michael Brown debate James White. If you're struggling with politics, there's a great debate with Ben Shapiro and Sink from Young Turks. There's a debate with them. Okay, go sit down and listen to people in long form and really hear them out. And what you'll realize is that they're not as crazy as you think they are. Somebody you may disagree with isn't as loony as you think you are, but it requires more effort. You can't just be on some click, a TikTok generation. Let me watch the 30-second, 1 minute somebody dunking on somebody else's point of view and think that's how you learn anything about somebody you disagree with, right? And so I spent some time just trying to understand. I watched Charlie Kirk debate Sam Snyder recently. I thought that was brilliant, and I walked away like, oh man, gosh, some good stuff here. You know, they agree on a lot of stuff and they disagree on some stuff. So hopefully this is helpful. That's a practical challenge, right? Whatever it is, sit down and watch a long form debate. And what you'll probably find is that the side you are disagreeing on isn't as off the rails as you think you are when you sit down and listen to them for a while, for hours, and then go, oh, okay, they're not really that far gone. So those are my thoughts, man. Whoever fears God will avoid all extremes. Hopefully this was helpful to you.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
Hey, thank you so much for making it till the end of this video. If you found it valuable, please consider giving it a like and subscribing. You can check out one of the other videos related to this that'll be over here. Now, I gotta tell you about a free training I have for anyone that is an entrepreneur, a creative, an artist, but maybe you are unsure on how to find your voice, how to find your niche. I have a free training in the description of this video. Check it out. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you on the next video.